So hey guys, and welcome to the Random Watch Dude channel. Thanks for joining me for another video where I'm just some random dude who waffles on about watches and the things that interest me in the watch world. And today I'm making a follow-up video actually. In my last video I talked about merchandise and the fact that I had to make myself a keyring, this OMEGA clasp, spare OMEGA clasp that I had, which I converted into a keyring quite recently. This was all obviously in recognition of the fact that the watch manufacturers that we spend thousands and thousands of dollars on every year, they don't want to give us things like this. They probably think they're a bit tacky, really. Maybe they are, but I think that the normal people in life, like you and I, that actually need something functional like a keyring, you know, for our car keys and our house keys. It's quite often fun, isn't it, to have something, I guess, that you have an emotional attachment to as part of your key fob or your key ring. And so I converted this spare OMEGA clasp that I had into a key ring, and you guys thought that was quite interesting. I think you quite enjoyed watching me show you just very, very briefly how I did it. And all I did really, guys, was I threaded a little bit of wire through that hole, which was just a straightened out piece of ring, if you like. And then I gently formed it into that neat little triangle there that's folded over on itself, which I could then use, obviously, as a ringlet, if you like, that I could thread a normal keyring through. And that's how I did it. So this is great fun, guys. I mean, this is a proper bit of fun as a keyring. I can really relieve some stress, you know, when I'm sat there waiting for my wife, you know, and I'm sat in the car and I'm waiting for my wife, and I can just sit there, you know, and click my keyring. And maybe sometimes when I'm watching a boring bit of television, because sometimes you have to, don't you? Because, you know, your fairer half wants to watch something that you're not remotely interested in. So you might just sit there and start clicking your clasp, you know, just to pass the time. So it's great fun, guys. I've really enjoyed having this clasp as a keyring. So I was thinking to myself, what else can I turn into a piece of watch merch? And of course, I've got my OMEGA 2254.5 here, my Seamaster. This has recently just come back from a service at the OMEGA service agent here in Auckland in New Zealand. It's come back lovely. It's come back running absolutely spot on time-wise, and they give it a light groom as well, of course. But of course, that's left me, guys, with some nicely freshly groomed, I'll show you here, some nicely freshly groomed bracelet links, because obviously I haven't got an 8.5-inch wrist, so I've got some spare bracelet links here. And how many, now that I'm talking about spare links, how many spare links, guys, have you got sat in the safe or in the drawer that are never going to see the light of day? I've got 3 here. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to turn these 3 spare links that are never going to see the light of day unless I do something else with them, I'm going to turn them into a keyring. So I'm going to show you how I do that on this video, but before I get into it, guys, let's roll the intro. Okay, guys, so I've got my 3 links here. And what you'll see, if you haven't seen one of these bracelets before, or ever resized an OMEGA bracelet, one of these older bracelets, they're a little bit fiddly in that there's a pin and a collar. They're not screwed. So you've got these tiny little pins here. Let me stick that on my finger. You've got these tiny little pins and these tiny little collars, absolutely weeny little collars. Now the collar goes through the center link here, and then the pin is sent through the top, and that actually secures itself. It's just purely a friction fit. It's a friction fit into the collar with the collar sat in the middle link, and that's actually how the bracelet holds together. So I'm just going to stick those in now. Let's see if we can do that quickly without too much fuss. So here are the 2 links that are already together, and you can see this is the underside of the links, and you can see there's a little arrow there. So that arrow is to say that the main pin that goes in to secure into the collar has to go in through this side. But firstly, I'm just going to pop the central collar into there. There we go. So that's in there now. I've got the central collar sat in that hole in there, and then I grab the link and put it in place, and then I grab my pin and I stick my pin in the hole, so to speak. Now, all going well, guys, and I'm sorry if this pops in and out of focus. It's just that because I'm moving it, I'm waving it around a lot, it's going to do that. So that's now Right, okay, so I felt that kind of sit into place. Now the front of the pin is now gone into the collar, but what I'm going to do now, because if I'm not careful, what I'll do is if I push that too hard, what's going to happen is it's just going to bend, because it's a friction fit through the central link here. Too much force on there, especially if it's slightly uneven. All you're going to do, guys, and trust me, I've done it many more times than I'd like to admit to really, is this will just bend. This will just pop down to the side and you'll be really irritated and you've ruined your pin. So what you do is you grab yourself one of these guys. This is a nice little jig, and you put your link in your jig. Now what I tend to do, because obviously we want to protect that nice finish, is I tend to put a little bit of cloth over the jig like that, and then I can put it in there, you see, and now that's being held quite nicely. And then you get yourself a little watchmaker's hammer. Now the hammers are quite funny. There's a metal end and there's a rubber end. Now the rubber end, obviously, and I learned this through my engineering years when I did an apprenticeship as an engineer, the proper delicate engineering fine work is done with the rubber end. And when you just want to smash the crap out of something and make it fit in place, you use the metal end. So I'm going to just, because I'm putting this on a video, I'm going to try and do this with the delicate fine end. But quite often, guys, I won't mind admitting to you, I quite often use the smash it with the metal bit end. But let's just see how we go with the plastic end. I'll just pop that down. There you go. So that's just popping. Right. Okay. So you see how now, let's get that in focus, you see how my pin's pretty much gone down to as far as I can get it. Try and get it in focus. It's gone down to as far as I can get it without using another tool, which is, where's that? Oh, I didn't bring that over with me. Let me just cut to that quickly. There you go, guys. This is the tool I need. So this is basically just, this is another pin, essentially, on the end of this shaft, which is going to enable me to just pop that pin. I want to get that pin that's just poking out. Just get that in focus. I want to get that pin that's just poking out there now, just about another millimetre down, as you can see, so that it's actually just encroaching inside. So what I'll do is I'll just pop it in place. Now I can use the metal side, so I'll put the pin back in the jig and I'll just give this a little tap. There we go. So now, get that back in focus. Now I've got the pin. It's not perfect right now. I'll do that later on. Obviously the pressure of making this video means I can't do everything absolutely perfect right now, but I will just tidy that up a little bit. But as you can see, now I've got the pin's in, and these three links are nice and ready to turn into a keyring, guys. So what I need to do now is I need to thread, because I can't run a ring through here, and this is what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to run I'm going to make a ringlet that's going to go through here, which I can then attach to a key ring. I can't do that right now because obviously that's a straight line and key rings are round, so I'm not going to be able to just thread a key ring through this hole. It's just not going to happen. What I need to do is take a piece of key ring, straighten it out, turn it into a piece of wire, which I can then thread through and make a nice little ringlet that I can then thread the key ring round. So I'm just going to show you next, in the next stage of this video, how we're going to do that. Okay guys, so here we are. So I've got my three links here, and I want to be able to thread this ring through there, and as you can see, it won't go at the moment. I've got to straighten this ring out. So I'm just going to show you quickly how I'm going to do that. And to a degree, there's a little bit of, you've got to waste one of these guys, I'm afraid, to make this work, because you've got to construct your own straight piece to go through the link. So I'm just going to straighten this by hand as much as I can, and so I'll just straighten that out. These key rings, by the way, as you'll know, they're actually really strong when they're in their circular form and they're wound together. But of course, they're actually quite easy to pull apart and manipulate because it's just basically wire, and it's a non-ferrous wire, I think. So it's gonna last quite well. So this is where you need a pair of long-nosed pliers, guys. And I'm just gonna, and actually to start with, excuse the condition of these pliers. I've had these for many years, and I don't think I've ever needed to clean them because I just use them for internal jobs. So yeah, they're a little bit rusty, guys, but it's a sign of a tool that actually gets used. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, as you can see on these pliers, there's actually a cutting piece just there. You can see, you can use that to cut quite thick pieces of wire actually. There's an awful lot of leverage on these pliers. And I love long nose pliers. I love the fact they're called long nose pliers. I think that's a lovely name for a tool. And also I just love the fact that because they've got so much leverage, you can get an awful lot of pressure on them. So I'm just going to straighten this out a little bit. And then I'm just going to cut the end off of the wire there, probably just about there. Just pop that off. And now try and flatten that out a little bit as much as I can. So just give it a squeeze. Doesn't have to be perfect, of course, because all I want to do is make sure I can get this piece of wire through this hole now. So let's see how that goes. There we are. Okay, so now that's popped through. Now can I get that a little bit further through? Oops, just popped out again. So let's have another go. I hate it when it pops out. Here we go. Okay, there we are. Right, so I'm happy with that. That's about as far as I want to go. Now the good thing is now is I can just pull this around here, like so. Keep pulling. And there we are. So I've got that side sorted already. Now I want to pull this side around here, like so. And I want to form, as you can see guys, I want to form that triangle. That's what I'm looking to do. That's what I want. I want that lovely tight corner in the link there. So there's hardly, now that I've pulled these two corners tight, there's very, very little movement in there. That's not going anywhere. And I want to just leave about 3 or 4 millimeters across there, because I'm gonna turn that in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut about there. Let's just cut that off. There you go. Right, so now guys, this is ready for me to form into something that's quite tidy, that actually resembles a nice little keyring. Okay, so here we are. Now I'm just going to do the finishing, make the finishing touches to this, guys. And I've just wrapped a bit of cloth around this because obviously I'm now going to be holding this quite hard, quite tightly. And it actually just gives me a bit more friction to hang on to it, to stop it from sliding around when I'm trying to contort this area here. Because what I want to do is I want to twist these two ends back in on themselves so that I get a nice, tight shape, and I prevent anything from slipping up between that little join there, because obviously that's the weak point on this. If you put too much pressure on there, your keyring's just going to slip out. So I need to be able to turn it over. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clamp, try and keep this in shot for you. I'm just going to clamp there. Give it a squeeze. Okay, that's one side. Turn it over, do the other side. See how this goes. Yeah, okay, that's getting there. I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to keep playing around with this, guys, because it is very much a case of fiddle around with it, take a look, give it another tweak, give it another push, another pull. It might take me a couple more minutes just to get this perfect, the way, in the right shape, the way I want it. And I'll cut back to you once I finish that. Okay, so here you go, guys. I've just spent another couple of minutes playing around with this, with the long nose pliers, my favourite tool. And I've got that, I'm pretty happy with that. I've got that nice sort of domed triangle top that I'm looking for, because that's where the keyring sits nice and central. So when the keyring actually hangs, it actually sits in the middle. And the problem is, if you just put a straight one across in there, the keyring would probably have a tendency to slide up and down. But of course, with it shaped like this, you're always going to have the keyring sat right at the top, which means the actual fob itself is always going to hang nice and centrally. So I'm really happy with that. I had a little play around with it for a couple of minutes and got that just the way I like it. So now I'm just going to give it a little file with my lovely rusty file here. You can see this obviously hasn't been cleaned either. Look at the state of that. But it's no problem, guys. It's all aesthetics at the end of the day. And I'm just going to give this a little, what I want to do is I just want to take the corners off of these bits of wire here. So that bit there and that bit there, the ends, I'm just going to take the corners off of that so that it doesn't catch. Obviously, when this is in your pocket, it's going to have a tendency to want to catch on the material in your pocket. So I'm just going to file one side of these off so that it's got a nice chamfer to it. I'll just do that now. And here we are, guys. Here's the finished effect. I've now got both my key rings, and I'll just use the other end of my hammer here just to show you. So here's the obviously this is the new key ring. This is now the 3 Seamaster links, which have become a key ring, alongside the clasp, which is also a key ring. And as you can see, I just filed off the ends of the piece that I formed there, just to make sure they don't catch on anything in your pocket. So that's I'm really happy with this, guys. Nice, another little key ring. So there you go. There's something else to do if you haven't got a spare clasp that you can turn into a key ring. I know that all of you guys out there that have got watches, that are into watches, have got spare links. So here's an idea, guys. Turn it into a key ring. I mean, why not? Then you can just play around with it. It's a bit of fun, and it you know, you're getting your money's worth, aren't you? Because you're paying for these links, guys. You know, when you go and drop thousands of dollars on a new watch, you're paying for these links. You might as well turn them into something that you can actually use. So have some fun making yourself a keyring, guys, and stick 2 fingers up to the watch companies that won't sell you a keyring. Make your own. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and I hope it's maybe given you a few ideas of things that you can tinker around with your spare parts in your watch drawer. Make yourself a fridge magnet or a key ring. And hey, guys, drop some comments in. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your plans are for little gimmicks and gadgets and bits and pieces that you might want to make out of your spare watch parts. Drop me a comment, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Cheers.